Mission of Saints, Shirdi a Holy Tirth, Personality of Sai Baba, Dictum of Gauli Bua, Appearance of Vittal, Sheer Sagar Story, Das Ganu's Bath in Prayag, Immaculate Conception of Sai Baba, and his first advent in Shirdi, three Vadas. In the last chapter, I described the circumstances which led me to write Sai Satcharitha. Let me now describe the first advent of Sai Baba in Shirdi. Mission of the Saints. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, 7 to 8, that whenever there is a decay of dharma, that is righteousness, and an ascendancy of unrighteousness, I manifest myself, and for the protection of the virtuous, the destruction of the vicious, and for the establishment of righteousness, I manifest myself in age after age. This is the mission of Lord and the sages and saints who are his representatives and who appear here at proper times help in their own way to fulfill that mission. For instance, when the when the twice born, that is the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas neglect their duties, and when the Shudras try to usurp the rights of the higher classes, when spiritual preceptors are not respected but humiliated, when nobody cares for religious instructions, when everybody thinks himself very learned, people begin to partake for forbidden foods and intoxicating drinks. When the clock of religion, people indulge in malpractices, when people belonging to different sects fight among themselves, when Brahmins fail to do Sandhya adoration and the Orthodox their religious practices, when yogis neglect their meditation, when the people began to think that wealth, progeny, wife are their sole concern and thus turn away from true path of salvation, then do saints appear and try to set matters right by their words and action. They serve us as beacon lights and show us right path and right way for us to follow. In this way, many saints, that is Nivriti, Jnanadev, Muktabhai, Namdev, Gora, Gonai, Eknath, Tukaram, Narahari, Narsibhai, Sajan Kasai, Savata, Ramadas, and other did appear at various times to show right path to the people, and so presently came Shirdi Sai Baba of Shirdi. Shirdi, her holy Tirth. The banks of the Godavari river in the Ahmednagar district are very fortunate, for they gave birth and refuge to many saints, prominent amongst them being Jnaneshwar. Shirdi also falls in the Kopargaon taluka of Ahmednagar district. After crossing the Godavari river at Kopargaon, one gets the way to Shirdi. When you go to 3 kos, that is 9 miles, you come to Nimgaon, from whence Shirdi is visible. Shirdi is as famous as well known as the holy places like Gangapur, Narasinghadi, Audumgar on the banks of Krishna river. As the devotee Damaji flourished in and blessed Mangal Veda near Pandarpur, as Samarth Ramdas at Sajangad, and Sri Narasimha Saraswati at Saraswati Vadi, so Sainath flourished at Shirdi and blessed it. Personality of Sai Baba. It is on account of Sai Baba that Shirdi grew into importance. Let us see what sort of personage Sai Baba was. He conquered this samsar, that is worldly existence, which is very hard to cross. Peace or mental calm was his ornament, and he was the repository of wisdom. He was the home of Vaishnava devotees, most liberal, that is like Karna amongst liberals, the quintessence of all essences. He had no love for perishable things and was always engrossed in self realization, which was his sole concern. He felt no pleasure in the things of his world or the world beyond. His antarang, that is heart, was as clear as a mirror, and his speech always rained nectar. The rich or poor people were the same to him. He did not know or care for honor or dishonor. He was the lord of all beings. He spoke freely and mixed with all people, saw the actings and dances of nautch girls, and heard gujjal songs. Still, he swerved not an inch from samadhi, that is mental equilibrium. The name of Allah was always on his lips. While the word awoke, he slept. and while the world slept, he was vigilant. His abdomen, that is inside, was as calm as the deep sea. His ashram could not be determined, nor his actions could be definitely determined. And though he sat, that is, lived in one place, he knew all the transaction of the world. His darbar was imposing. He told daily hundreds of stories, still he swerved not an inch from his vow of silence. He always leaned against the wall in the masjid or walked morning, noon, and evening towards Lendi, that is Nala, and Chavati. Still, he at all times abided in the self. Though a Siddha, he acted like Sadhaka. He was meek, humble, and egoless, and pleased all. Such was Sai Baba, and as Sai Baba's feet treaded the soil of Shirdi, it attained extraordinary importance. As Jnaneshwar elevated Alandi, Eknath did to Python, so Sai Baba raised his Shirdi. Blessed are the grass leaves and stones of Shirdi, for they could easily kiss the holy feet of Sai Baba and take their dust on their head. Shirdi became to us devotees another Pandarpur, Jagannath, Dwaraka, Banaras of Kashi, and Rameshwar, Badri Kedar, Nashik, Trayambakeshwar, Ujjain, and Mahakaleshwar or Mahabaleshwar, Gokarn. Contact of Sai Baba in Shirdi was like our Veda and Tantra. It quieted our samsara, that is world consciousness, and rendered self realization easy. The darshana of Sri Sai was our yoga sadhana, and talk with him removed our sins. Shampooing his legs was our bath in Triveni Prayag, and drinking the holy water of his feet destroyed our desires. To us, his commands were Vedas, and accepting, that is, eating his udi, sacred ashes, and prasad was all purifying. He was a Krishna, Sri Rama, who gave us solace, and he was a Parabrahma, that is absolute reality. He was himself beyond the pair of Dvandvas, that is opposite, never dejected or nor elated. He was always engrossed in his self as existence, knowledge, and bliss. Shirdi was his center, but his field of action extended far wide to Punjab, Calcutta, North India, Gujarat, Dhaka, now in Bangladesh, that is, and Konkan. Thus, the fame of Sai Baba spread far and wide, and people from all parts came to take his darshana and be blessed. By mere darshan, minds of people, whether pure or impure, would become at once quiet. They got here the same sort of unparalleled joy that devotees get at Pandarpur by seeing Vittal Ragumai. This is not an exaggeration. Consider what a devotee says in this respect. Dictum of Gauli Bua. An old devotee by name Gauli Bua, aged about 95 years, was a Varkari of Pandari. He stayed 8 months at Pandarpur for 4 months, Akshada to Kartik, July to November, on the banks of the Ganges. He had an ass with him for carrying his luggage and a disciple as his companion. Every year he made his wari or trip to Pandarpur and came to Shirdi to see Sai Baba, whom he loved most. He used to stare at Baba and say, "This is Pandarinath Vittal incarnate, the merciful Lord of the poor and helpless." This Gauli Bua was an old devotee of Vittoba and had made many trips to Pandari, and he was testified that Sai Baba was real Pandarinath. Vittal himself appeared. Sai Baba was very fond of remembering and singing God's name. He always uttered Allah Malik, God is Lord, and his presence made others to sing God's name continuously day and night for 7 days. This is called Nama Saptaha. Once he asked Kaka Sahib Dikshit to do the Nama Saptaha. He replied that he would do it, provided that he was assured that Vittal would appear at the end of the 7th day. Then Baba, placing his hand on his breast, assured him certainly Vittal would appear, but that devotee must be earnest and devout. The Dankapuri, that is Thakur of Thakurnath, the Pandari of Vittal, the Dwaraka of Ranchold, that is Krishna, is here, which is Shirdi. One need not go too far to see our Dwaraka. Will Vittal come here from some outside place? He is here. Only when the devotee is bursting with love and devotion, Vittal will manifest himself here, that is in Shirdi. After the Saptaha was over, Vittal did manifest himself in the following manner. Kaka Sahib Dikshit was, as usual, sitting in meditation after the bath, and he saw Vittal in a vision. He went at noon for Baba's darshana. Baba asked him to point blank, "Did Vittal Patil come? Did you see him? He is a very truant fellow. Catch him firmly, otherwise he'll escape, if you be a little inattentive." This happened in the morning, and at noon was another Vittal darshana. One hawker from outside there was selling 25 or 30 pictures of Vithoba. The picture exactly tallied with the figure that appeared in Kaka Sahib's vision. On seeing this and remembering Sai Baba's words, Kaka Sahib Dikshit was much surprised and delighted. He brought one picture of Vithoba and placed it in his shrine for worship. Next story. Bhagwant Rao Shir Sagar story. How fond was Baba for Vittal worship was illustrated in Bhagwant Rao's Shir Sagar story. The father of Bhagwant Rao was a devotee of Vithoba and used to make varis, that is, annual trips to Pandarpur. He also had an image of Vithoba at home, which he worshipped. After his death, the son stopped everything, the vari, the worship, and the Shraddha ceremony, etc. When Bhagwant Rao came to Shirdi, Baba, on remembering his father, at once said, "His father was my friend, so I dragged him, the son, here. He never offered Naivedya, offering of food, and so he starved Vittil and me. So I brought him here, and I shall remonstrate him now and set him to worship." Das Ganu's bath in Prayag. The Hindus think that a bath in holy Tirth of Prayag, where the Ganga and Yamuna meet, is very meritorious, and thousands of pilgrims go there at periodical times to have the sacred bath there. Once Dasganu thought that he should go to Prayag for a bath and came to Baba to get his permission for doing so. Baba replied to him, "It is not necessary to go so long. Our Prayag is here, believe me." Then, wonders of wonders, when Dasganu placed his head on Baba's feet, out came or flowed streams of Ganga Yamuna water from both the toes of Baba. Seeing this miracle, Dasganu was overwhelmed with feelings of love and adoration and was full of tears. Inwardly, he felt inspired, and his speech burst forth into a song in praise of Baba and his Leelas. The next story. Immaculate Conception of Sai Baba and his first advent in Shirdi. Nobody knew the parents' birth or birthplace of Sai Baba. Many inquiries were made, many questions were put into Baba, and others reading these terms, but no satisfactory answer or information has been obtained. Practically, we know nothing about these matters. Ramdev and Kabir were not born like ordinary mortals. They were found as infants in mother of pearls, Namdev being found in the bank of Bhimrati river by Gonai and Kabir on the bank Bhagirathi river by Tamal. Similar was the case of Sai Baba. He first manifested himself as a young lad of 16 under a neem tree in Shirdi for the sake of bhaktas. Even then, he seemed to be full with knowledge of Brahman. He had no desire for worldly objects, even in dream. He kicked out Maya, and Mukti, that is deliverance, was serving at his feet. One old woman of Shirdi, the mother of Nana Choptar, described him thus. Thus, young lad, fair, smart, and very handsome, was first seen under the neem tree seated in an asan. The people of village were wonderstruck to see a young lad practicing hard penance, not minding heat or cold. By the day he associated with none, by night he was afraid of nobody. People were wondering and asking whence this young chap had turned up. His form and features were so beautiful that a mere look endeared him to all. He went to nobody's door, always sat near the neem tree. Outwardly he looked very young, but his action really was a great soul. He was the embodiment of dispassion and was the enigma to all. One day it so happened that God Kandoba possessed the body of some devotee, and people began to ask him, "Deva, God, you please inquire what blessed father's son in this lad, and whence did he come?" God Kandoba asked him to bring a pickaxe and dig in a particular place. When it was dug, bricks were found underneath a flat stone. When the stone was removed, a corridor led to a cellar where cow mouth shaped structures, wooden boards, necklaces were seen. The Kandoba said, "This lad practiced penance here for 12 years. Then the people began to question the lad about this. He put them off the scent by telling them that it was his guru's place, his holy Vatan, and requested them to guard it well. People then closed the corridor as before. As Ashwatha and Audambar trees are held sacred, Baba regarded this neem tree equally sacred and loved it most. Malsapati, Halsapati and other Shirdi devotees regard this site as resting place Samadhi Sthana of Baba's Guru and prostrate before it. The three Vadas. 1. The site with the neem tree and surrounding space was bought by Mr. Hari Vinayak Sate, and on the site of this big building, styled Sate's Vada was erected. This Vada was the sole resting place for pilgrims who flocked there. A par, a platform, was built around the neem tree and lofts with steps were constructed. Under the steps, there is a niche face southing and devotees sit on par. There is platform facing north. It is believed that he who burns incense there on Thursday and Friday evenings will, by God's grace, be happy. This Vada is old and dilapidated and wanted repairs. The son has made necessary repairs, additions and alterations now. Point number 2. Then after some years, another Vada, Dikshit's Vada, was constructed. Kaka Sahib Dikshit, solicitor of Mumbai, had gone to England. He had injured his leg by an accident there. The injury could not be got rid of by any means. Nana Sahib Chandorkar advised him to try Sai Baba. So he saw Sai Baba in 1909 AD and requested him to cure rather the lameness of his mind and that of his leg. The lameness of his mind and that of his leg. He was so much pleased with the darshan of Sai Baba that he decided to reside at Shirdi. So he built a Vada for himself and other devotees. The foundation of this building was laid on 10/12/1910. On this day, two other important events took place. Number one, Mr. Dada Sahib Kaparde was given permission to return home. Number two, the night arati in Chavadi was commenced. The Vada was complete and was inhabited on the Ramanavami day in 1911 AD with due rites and formalities. Point number 3. Then another Vada or palatial mansion was put up by famous millionaire Mr. Bhuti of Nagpur. Lots of money was spent on this building, but the entire amount was well utilized as Sai Baba's body is resting in Vada, which is now called Samadhi Mandir. The site of this mandir had formed a garden which was watered and looked after by Baba. The three Vadas thus sprang up when there was none formally. Of these, Sate's Vada was most useful to all in early days. The story of garden attended by Baba with the help of Vaman Tatya, the temporary absence of Sai Baba from Shirdi, and his coming up again to Shirdi with the marriage party of Chand Patil, the company of Devidas, Janakidas and Gangagir, Baba's wrestling match with Moideen Tamboli, residents in Masjid, love of Mr. Dengale and other devotees, and other incidents will be described in next chapter. Bow to Shirdi Sai, peace be to all. Om Shri Sai Ram.